Hello students, welcome to MBA 360. As students begin to look beyond conventional corporate careers, there is a growing interest in management programs that combine purpose with profession. Programs that allow them to work closer to communities, livelihoods, and real economic transformation. Rural management is one such specialization. It sits in the intersection of agriculture, livelihoods, supply chains, finance, policy, and grassroots development. It plays a critical role and a very crucial role in how India's rural economy functions and evolves. At the same time, rural management is often misunderstood. Some view it narrowly as a social sector program. Others underestimate the managerial rigor it demands. This is why we are covering PGDM in rural management or MBA in rural management as part of the advisory series to help students understand who this program is meant for, what is it actually taught, and what the career prospects are if you were to take or do an MBA in rural management, and how to choose the right institution. That's a very, very important question that we're going to deal with. And what we have at this point in time is we also brought in an expert from Wellington Institute of Management who will help us understand all these things. And it's also about how to choose the right institution. This is not about idealism or branding. It is about alignment between the student, the sector, and the long-term journey of the student. To help us through this conversation, as I said, we got an expert, Dr. Rachna Patil, Associate Professor and Program in Charge of Rural Management Program at the Wellington Institute of Management, Mumbai. Who should choose MBA in rural management? Rural management is not a default alternative to a general MBA. It's a deliberate choice. One that requires a certain temperament, commitment, passion, conviction, and comfort with uncertainty. The work often involves field exposure, district level roles, and engagement with farmers, SHGs, which is special help groups, NGOs, government systems, and rural enterprises. So it's important to begin with the most fundamental question, and that's where I have Dr. Rachna with me. Who should genuinely choose PGDM or MBA in rural management? And what kind of students are likely to struggle in this specialization? I asked Dr. Rachna.
So PGDM Rural Management Program is for those who wants to pursue their career in fastest growing emerging economies. So let me give you some backdrop about the rural market. India has 6.5 lakhs villages, which is making it world's largest rural market ever. Another important thing about the rural market is that if 1% increase in rural income contributes to 10,000 crore increase in purchasing power. Also, if you see the FMCG growth, so 50% contribution comes from the rural sector in terms of FMCG sales. So talking about who can be an apt candidate for the program. So someone who is empathetic to the people and situations, hardworking, and should have a passion about the sector. Along with that, yes, graduation is the criteria. So students from arts, commerce, science, management, and engineering streams are most welcome to the program. But if you have work aids, it added an advantage.
Many students associate rural management primarily with development work and NGO roles. In reality, the curriculum goes much beyond that. Rural management today involves supply chains, agribusiness, microfinance, rural marketing, policy implementation, and institutional frameworks. Let's clarify this clearly for the students. Dr. Rachna, can you help us understand what does the curriculum of serious rural management programs actually cover, and how is it different from a regular MBA?
Talking about the curriculum of PGDM Rural Management Program, generally it starts with the induction program, which spread across 3 weeks. Along with that, there are certain workshops that the institutes organize during this period. So eventually it's a management program. So all the top-notch business schools are offering courses pertaining to marketing, finance, HR, operations, general management, along with some additional courses pertaining to agribusiness and the rural management. Along with that, if we talked about some workshops, so there are some workshops pertaining to how to make the videos, because this is a trend in the industry. So it's important that students should be acclimatized with such skill sets. So there are different pedagogical tools that the institutes adopts, like case study workshops. Harvard business case studies are mandatory in many business schools. There are certain simulation like Narayanpur simulation is one of the good simulation in the rural space that many good business schools are having it. There is a summer internship program which spread across 2 months, which is also again a mandatory part for all the business schools, and which is also into the rural space. Along with that, there is the rural immersion, which is again very important, I would say, pedagogical initiative, which is part and parcel of this curriculum, wherein students have to go stay into the rural area. They have to understand the different rural demographics, rural dynamics. They have to interact with the various stakeholders, because without understanding the rural market, you can't take decisions into the rural space. So that's the reason being an efficient rural manager, it is important to understand the pulse of rural market. So this simulation basically helps them. PRA, it's a participatory rural appraisal tools. To make this visit more fruitful, it is very important that you have some tools handy with you. So PRA, it's a very structured way of doing the research into the rural area. So global immersion is also important elements in a lot of business schools curriculum, because we want that student should think globally even though he has to work locally. Leaders for the local market, such immersion helps.
One of the most important conversations students need to have before choosing rural management is about the career pace and the functional expectations. For sure, the financial expectations. Entry-level salaries are usually moderate, but the long-term value is always in the impact that you create and the leadership roles that you actually get because of the work that you do and the sectoral credibility that rural management actually offers. Students deserve transparency here, isn't it? So I ask again Dr. Rachna. Dr. Rachna, tell us, what should students realistically expect in terms of salary, growth and long-term career prospects if they were to pursue an MBA in rural management?
So rural India is not just agriculture-driven economy. So 40% incomes come from the non-agriculture sector. So if you see that all the big sectors like be it FMCG, be it BFSI, FMCD, IT, ITC, all those wants to penetrate into the rural area, because none of the company can afford to miss out such untapped market, huge untapped market. If you compare the compensation for the rural management student, it is at par with other program students as well. However, it depends upon which sector you choose to pursue your career. So for example, it may be little bit on moderate side if it comes to agri-input company, but after 2 to 3 years of work experience, students have seen got the quantum jump when it comes to compensations and the career growth. So whenever we see that, means my personal experience is the company select the candidate based on 2 dimensions. One is skill sets and another is content knowledge. So when I have taken, there is a small incident I would like to share, that when I have taken the feedback from company when it comes to international placement, why do you prefer the rural management students over other? So the answer that I have received is rural students are more agile, more adaptable and very hardworking. So the skill sets also equally important when it comes to compensations and the salary.
The next big question is this: how does a student go about choosing the right college to pursue MBA in rural management? The program, the institution you choose matters immensely. The quality of field immersions, the faculty experiences, the institutional partnerships, the alumni network can dramatically shape outcomes. A program without strong rural grounding can dilute the very purpose for which you actually are pursuing these specializations. So I asked Dr. Rachna, how should students evaluate colleges offering MBA in rural management? And what is the clear markers of a strong program? You can take your own example to explain this to the students.
I personally believe everyone should do the management educations, because I have seen a complete transformation that has happened amongst the students when they entered into the program and when they graduate from the program. So the transformation happens when it comes to their personality, confidence and outlook. But at the same time, it is very important that they should do it from the reputed business school. So while selecting the business school, the students should think about the legacy of the institutes. At the same time, what do they have to offer when it comes to content, syllabus. At the same time, what are the exposure they'll be getting? Because corporate connects plays a very important role in management educations. So from that aspect, location of the institutes also matters a lot. And while selecting the program, every program is different and are having their own USPs. So they have to see that what is the USP of that particular program. So like an example, IRMA giving a lot of emphasis on the cooperative. At the same time, Wellingker's rural management programs focus is on the corporates. So where do you want to pursue your career? That's very important, and based on your career inclinations, you can make selections amongst the different programs that is available for you. At the same time, you have to see that students should consider what are the companies those are coming for the placement. And there is no need to tell, but students generally do the comparison when it comes to the average CTC, highest CTC. That is also there.
Among institutions offering rural management, some have consciously built a very, very strong and distinct approach through pedagogy, partnerships, and experience learning to help students understand differentiation, not just reputation. I want to focus specifically on Velinkar. I want you to take your own example, Dr. Rashna, and tell us what makes any rural management program distinct in terms of curriculum, exposure, and outcomes.
So experiential learning is the USP of Velinkar's rural management program. So we have a agri lab here in the campus wherein students are doing hands-on experiments. So based on the content and the different initiatives Velinkar have been taking, the rural management program have received the Academic Excellence Award and the Corporate Excellence Award as well. So at the same time, since the inception of the program, we have been getting very good response from the corporates when it comes to international placement or the domestic placements. In a nutshell, program creates managers who understand the grassroots as well as boardroom.
An MBA in rural management is not a fallback option. It is not charity work. It is a serious management career rooted in the realities of India's rural economy, where decisions affect livelihoods, supply chains, institutions, and long-term development. The specialization rewards students who bring empathy with rigor, patience with professionalism, and purpose with execution. The work is demanding, the environments are complex, and the progress is often incremental. But the impact is real and lasting. For students who are comfortable working on the ground, navigating ambiguity, and building solutions in resource-constrained settings, rural management offers depth, relevance, and long-term leadership opportunities. But for those seeking quick financial returns, urban corporate roles, or predictable career paths, this may not be the right choice. The intent of this conversation was not to persuade, but to equip you with clarity so that you're not confused, so that if you choose rural management, you do so with conviction and realism. Because in sectoral MBAs, the true measure of success is not how fast you move, but how meaningfully you contribute. Thank you so much. Namaste.